Here we go. Welcome, Warrior. This is the first show of the new year, 2026, and I think we are off to a rousing start. Oh, we're really off to a rousing start because Fred, thank you, Fred, gifted 10 Lynn's Warriors memberships right out of the gate. And that makes us so happy because what do I always say? That we want to provide information that most media will not cover, you will not hear about. So let's get it going. So thank you, Fred. We see Edie's here. Let's do a check-in. I guess you can all hear and see. There's Lionel Nation beating me to the punch loud and clear. Well, I'm in the process of taking down all the Christmas decorations, putting everything away, dusting everything off, going into this new year with a lot of hope and enthusiasm because everybody will be back in Washington tomorrow, which is January 5th. And we're going to really go extra hard on everybody because, we at the Warriors, we work really basically through the holidays. Our work never stops. It's 24/7. That's what we do. That's what we like to do. And people are in need 24/7. So we help people all the time. So I can't wait to get back. I've got everything lined up for Washington and lined up for everybody else. I want to talk about, first, I want to wish everybody a very happy new year. I hope you had a great holiday season. I hope you got to spend time with family and friends. I hope you had time to reflect and take a breath and all of that kind of jazz, and you're ready to go. Let us start the new year together. Here's what's very frustrating. Let's start with that as everybody's filtering in. It's very hard to get people to pay attention to what we do here at the Warriors. I know it's dark and ugly, but our children, our precious children, are at risk. So something I've been talking about for a very long time is we have to think of new ways. There are new ways. We at the Warriors have new ways. I don't like the phrase, thinking out of the box, but for shorthand, let's use it, thinking out of the box, to combat human trafficking, right? That's comprised of labor trafficking. We don't talk about that a lot. We talk about sex trafficking of children a lot. People seem much more interested in that. We have to talk about labor trafficking. There's so much of that. And that is so hidden in the shadows, right? And many kids are involved in labor trafficking. We have to come at it. We have a new victim by everybody being online, including you, including me. Everybody who has a device is a potential victim for trafficking. Everybody. Because wherever people are, so are the predators. Now, we focus on children, our future American adults, our future leaders, but let's talk about everybody for a minute. We are all subject. So the way trafficking is always described, the way trafficking, we've got, raising awareness, education, take actions. Yes, that's all part and parcel of all of this. However, as we are in January, which is National Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month, we have to look at things differently because there are new victims, you and me, anybody who's on the internet. There are new traffickers by virtue of the internet. They are able to move, quickly and smoothly and not be traced and things of that nature. So everybody now is vulnerable. We used to say, well, vulnerable kids in vulnerable environments. And yes, of course, that still holds, but basically everybody's vulnerable. So let's look potentially at everybody as a victim of all of this crime. So we have to come at this with something that, in my mind, is so simple, and I've talked about for a long time. It's thrown around a lot, but I don't actually see a lot of it. I see an uptick with a few groups, organizations, individuals, and that would be true collaboration. Because what I do, somebody else might not do. What they do, somebody else doesn't do. We do have solutions. Now, this is the frustrating part. But no matter what, we keep going. There are solutions to trafficking. There are tech solutions. There are many ethical tech people who could end what's going on online, at least put a tremendous dent in it, right? There are media outlets. We at the Warriors are always talking. Just this morning, we had our weekly hit on the national show, the Cats Roundtable. We do Warrior Wednesday. We go on various other platforms. We're here on YouTube. If more media would cover what we like to call the nuts and bolts of what trafficking is. And we also have solutions readily available that our federal government could be using if they would just sit down with the people, look at these solutions that are on paper, that are proven by studies and stats, most of them, talk to parents, and I know they've done some of that. Under the Trump administration, I'm going to say a fair amount, a good amount of that, compared to the administration before. But it doesn't matter because all of this crime is escalating, right? The states right now are doing a much better job at protecting kids than the federal government. So that being said, we have to really collaborate and come together. And this is the group's faults of doing it. I try constantly to promote others doing good work, to include them in our work, to share, to bolster them. I have to tell you, for the most part, it sometimes is very difficult. Not everybody. There are some great groups out there. But if we all came together, it's that old saying you all know, power in numbers. But again, here's the problem. I'm going to keep chipping away at that and working on that and talking about that. Because you go to these roundtables, you go to these conferences, you go to these summits, and everybody's like, oh, we have to come together. We have to collaborate. We have to share. Well, just do it. We know what has to be done. Everybody is what they call siloed, right? That word came out a few years ago, which means everybody's working individually for the most part. I know everybody's concerned about money because trafficking in 2025 was a very different look. First of all, federal funding was cut. Now we're all for, let's give funding to the appropriate groups that are vetted. We see the outcomes. We see survivors being taken care of. But cutting was cut across the board. So I would ask, okay, well, who's going to go back and do the work of, putting the monies back in for those doing their jobs, right? Because a lot of these groups, there are a lot of great organizations across the United States that are done on a volunteer basis, that people have full-time jobs. So again, they do this as a volunteer basis, and they're working on a shoestring, donations, and they're working out of their own pocket. And those little groups that make the most difference in their communities, with the little bit of funding they may have gotten and then being cut, they can't operate. So a lot of groups have just gone out of business, so to speak. A lot of veterans, I'll say, well, maybe that's not the right word. A lot of people who've been working in trafficking for a while, some very good people, are stepping aside. It's become too difficult. I would ask in Washington or ask around, my trusted sources, like, okay, so who's going back in? All this U.S. aid was cut. Everything cut. We are all about cut the waste. But let's give the monies to those doing the good work. Why is it so hard? And monies are not being put back in. So therefore, we're losing momentum. We're losing groups. We're losing people. It's become, look, all we had to do was look at the Kids Online Safety Act thrown at everybody right before the House, right before Thanksgiving. And everybody told, okay, we're going to have this hearing right after Thanksgiving, and we're going to lump the Kids Online Safety Bill in with all these other bills, 18 bills total, 19 bills, whatever it is. Who can keep up with this? Done on purpose. But here's the bottom line, what's so disappointing is our federal government right now is so in bed with AI, artificial intelligence. It sure seems that way when we see all the big tech CEOs sitting at the dinner table at the White House, when we see our good laws across states, which our country was built on. Very good work being done to safeguard kids. The administration comes out with an EO executive order saying, okay, we want, AI to have free reign, and we're going to preempt, meaning what they mean is they want to get rid of all these state laws. They just want AI to have a free reign. It cannot be. Why is this the one business that is unregulated? Big tech. I feel like the divide. So 2025 was a very strange year. It was really the advent, although AI has been around. I believe that was the year it was really thrown at everybody. I mean, every day it was something different with AI. We've had enough parents who bravely stand up and share their stories to make impact in Washington, in their state capitals. There are children who have been harmed, the ultimate harm. And also cyberbullying and sextortion and eating disorders, mental health, sharing. So what What doesn't everybody understand? Why can't our government get a handle on this? You can surely do both things. You can create this AI environment that we keep hearing about for global dominance and be the leader and beat China. We don't like words like that. Let's be competitive, right? Uh, the flip side is you can also utilize it for good. It's funny because I was talking to my husband. I know it can be done, but we don't really talk about it, and it's not being implemented. Um, this AI for kids struggling, and so many kids are struggling. If it was a true tutor that empowered them, the AI, not gave them the answers, gave them the ideas, suggested things to impact their little minds, but helped them critically analyze, right? And think. We have a country that doesn't really think anymore. I mean, I don't know what you experience. You can share it here, but I deal with people on a daily basis. Simple things, even like, let me digress here for a second. Oh, yeah, I will send an email, right? You always want a paper trail on all work you do, right? Very simple. And I will send an email, get no response. I'll send it a second time, second request. Did you receive? Very nicely. And then I might see the person. I'm just giving you an example right now. A week later, oh, so-and-so, did you see that email? Because it's about work. Yeah, I saw it. Oh, okay. Well, you didn't respond to it. Oh, okay. Yeah, I owe you an email. Okay, whatever. Now, how can one do business like that at all when we have the world at our fingertips? If you do your vetting, online, because there is a lot of craziness, we can agree, but there's a lot of wonderful things. I'm a speed reader. I can't tell you how I get up every morning and go through so many things quickly to get a handle on things and vetted sites, things like that. And sometimes there are things that catch my eye, for instance, on X, that'll give me a little food for thought. And I will make a list and then further investigate. I mean, I think we all have to work that way. Not that I have all the answers, but certainly when it comes to our children, it comes to trafficking, it comes to education, it comes to the take actions. These are things that, you can't just shoot your mouth off about. You have to have studies and stats and proof. So I'm not understanding right now. We have all of that. Why our government is pushing AI. Why they won't hear the cries of the parents. We don't want to lose momentum in 2026 when we have so many wonderful things going on, because the wonderful things going on are more people are awake. More people are joining us. More people are talking about it. More people want to help. I had a grandmother this morning. I want to rally up grandparents. Some of them have a lot of time on their hands. They want to help. I think it's an untapped group to help. One of my goals is really getting them together. I mean, grandparents could sit all day long if we give them a sheet. Oh, and we do some of that now, but I want to make it more collective, where there are more groups involved in this. And if we do have a take action, such as Kids Online Safety Act, they can spend 2 hours and keep phoning the congressional offices, keep phoning, as a constituent, keep sharing within their community. But we need everybody to get on board. So we need architecture, bringing everybody together, not this fake talk of coming together, because it's not happening. So I get very offended. No names here, but, I'll hear somebody who's in a very good position, tremendous board, taking in a lot of money, a lot of donations, kind of the maybe stars of the human trafficking. I'm going to say movement. Movement isn't the right word. Crimes, I should say. Let me just address. Edie says, member for 16 months. Edie, you've been with us since the beginning here. I talked to a caseworker about LW. I had an ear. Yeah. The thing is, well, I have 2 thoughts now. We'll get back to that in a minute, Edie. Remind me. And they talk. These people will show up at galas and they'll show up at, congressional roundtables we have. And I mean, I'm at a point in 2026. We know it's all bad. We know the predators are winning. We know what the government's doing. Suppression. I just saw that word go by. Somebody mentioned it. It's correct. We know AI, a lot of money involved. We know big tech ruling the roost in Washington, running around and everybody making lots of money. And so it's very offensive when you see somebody who I'm sure they do good work and they're American and maybe they're doing it in other countries. And I'm always like, oh, what happened to America first? Right in our own backyards, all of that. We need help right here. We understand it's a global problem. I wish I could save the world, save all the kids. You can't do everything. I want to protect and educate and engage you and take care of our American kids right now. That is my goal. Okay? Not that I'm not concerned about the world. I can't do it all. We can't do it all at the Warriors. And right now, actually, other countries are doing such a better job. It hurts me to say this with child safety online. But I just want to get back to, groups that have a lot of money coming in, or they get a lot of federal money, a lot of private grants, and then they show up at a round table or a conference and they preach, now we all need to collaborate. We all need to, share. We all need to come together. We all need to. Our precious kids, our children are hurting. Yet they single-handedly, some of these groups, they don't share with the smaller groups, the ones making this true, not all, some making the true impact right in the communities. The ones going into schools and community centers and places of worship, and that could use a few bucks to tide them along or buy supplies for the kids or dole out to survivors, right? So unless we think about this trafficking, January, National Human Trafficking Awareness and Prevention Month, which it is every January, unless we come together, put our cards on the table, say nothing's working. We know it's bad. And nothing's working. So we're going to blow this up, so to speak, and we're going to start from the ground floor. And I've been trying to do that at the Warriors. And I feel like this kind of lone ship, where I get whispers that say, you're so right, Lynn. I wish we could do it. It's not done that way. Or now we're afraid to, rock the boat and upset people. And nothing's working. This isn't about you and me. It's about our children. Okay, now let's flip to the good news. Let me address Edie, though, first about the caseworker. We have so many caseworkers. We have some very good people. Usually you just hear about the bad ones when something bad happened to a child. But why aren't we, putting the funding, the governments, into really training them and having a lot of them? Because what do you always hear when you hear a horrible child case? The caseworker was overextended and had, 42 families. And, okay, so why aren't we doing better? Right? Why aren't we advocating? Why don't we know all these things? Let's get people properly trained. Let's get people need jobs today. That kind of job, a caseworker, social worker, whatever you want to call it, whatever it's called in your community, your state, you can't replace that. Think about it. I don't think you can't replace that with AI. You need people for that, humans, right? And I'm tired of hearing they're so tired. They skipped it. Let's get real people in there, trained people. And I'm also tired of, I was in a store with my husband yesterday, and there were some wonderful senior citizens as the clerks and directing people. And I thought to myself, there's so many people, elderly. They're probably like my age and a few years older, but whatever. And they know how to, talk to people. They know customer service. They're happy to have a job and be out. So why aren't we having more, if they want, people employed that are like that are friendly, say hello, say goodbye, thank you for coming. I couldn't believe it yesterday. It was actually a store in New Jersey. I won't say what it was, but and perhaps it's some sort of program where they get funding. That's okay. But customer service. So caseworkers, I feel like my whole life I hear they're overwhelmed, they're overworked, they don't get paid enough money, there's no oversight, transparent. Let's fix it. We know what it is. Right now, when Johnny says something, Jay Johnny says something good, there's no way to look at all of this when I break it down, which I do 24 hours a day, is pure evil, because there are ways to stop things. And I'm sorry if Mark Zuckerberg makes a few $1 trillion less every month because we're protecting our American kids. But let's get back to so we have a lot of work to do. And there is work, I will just say, right now being done in that space of caseworkers and childcare. So hopefully we'll push forward with that in the new year. Um, I want to talk about kids right now. I want to talk about families right now. I want to talk about the positivity. So let's get back to in 2026, there is a lot of hope because, as I was saying, there are a lot of groups and organizations coming forward. And they know more about this than they knew a year ago. The one issue that is, remember, all this work is bipartisan. We work with some great Democrats. I don't care whatever their plate is of other work, I may not like, but if they're doing great with a child safety bill, everything checks off, we're on board. And if it's a Republican, I mean, you can't basically like everything everybody's doing. But for children, right? Trafficking, exploitation, digital safety, all of our work is bipartisan. And we're proud to say that, right? But people still can't sometimes understand that. It's still sort of weaponized. But that's breaking open more, right? And we're talking, this is like the one issue in Washington. It could be the only issue left that's truly bipartisan, the safety of our children in real time and online, right? So more groups. I'm interviewing tomorrow a wonderful mother from New Jersey, Erin Popolo. So that interview will be up tomorrow night. And her beautiful daughter, Emmy, a victim of online bullying during COVID, where she just couldn't take it anymore. I'll wait because I want you to watch this interview and listen to this interview because the parents coming forward, they say they have to do it. They have to warn other parents, other family members, this goes on, this actually happens. Because the other problem with trafficking, we constantly say, prevention, intervention, education, it's all part of it. But when you hear these actual stories from parents who say this cannot happen to another child or family, and we have no help, basically, and we keep talking about our stories, and we go in front of the government, and we go to the schools, your heart breaks. What do you say? So if a parent wants to come on the Warriors, remember, I'm very protective of parents. I'm very protective of survivors of human trafficking. But when they express an interest, they want to come on, they can come on and tell their stories, right? To share. It's their story to tell. It's not for me. I haven't been trafficked. I haven't had any of this. Do you know how lucky I feel that growing up in New Jersey, great parents, great house, great schools, great everything, great siblings. And then coming, to New York and working and having a great life. And this is my passion, the Warriors. I want everybody to be a warrior in their own home and community. We started 6 years ago because I saw the need. I couldn't believe when I started reading about the intersection of domestic violence with human trafficking. I was working with an author at the time, writing a book. And I'm like, this is unacceptable in America because you always heard working. I worked always in entertainment, producing and music. And it happened in, the Thailand and Philippines. So like, I knew what it was and is. I didn't know what was really going on in the United States. And when I go out and talk to groups or schools, that's the reaction I get. I didn't know that happens here. Or they challenge me. They say, no, that doesn't happen here. I say, yes, it's happening. The other thing I would get, don't scare. Before you take the microphone, don't scare people. I wasn't scaring people. I am relating facts, the reality, what's going on, what's happening in your community. You have to know about it in order to look for it or to talk to your kids, right? You have to know what's going on. So I got a lot of that. But now I don't care lately. You have to know the reality. It's very harsh and it's very complex. But our children, there is a war on for our children. I have said that for years now. And thank you, CM. CM says, thanks for your great work. Ma'am, it's thank you. I'm very humbled and honored that you're even here. But we have a lot of work to do. But we have to do it. We can't depend on the government. We can't depend on anybody else. We have to actually do it. And if that is protecting yourself, maybe you don't have a child. Protect yourself online. You know all these simple little things. Don't answer, emails you don't know and click on links. And the predators are always 10 steps ahead. But the good news is, because of what's going on in the federal government, the states have stepped up, right? Parents have stepped up. We have a lot of grandparents coming into the fold. A lot of people are speaking about things. And we have to believe, but that takes money. So what is our federal government waiting for when they're just cutting off everybody? They have to do better. We have to call them out. But in the meantime, that red tape and calling them out, we cannot wait. Because as I've been sitting here talking to you now for about 26 minutes, 10 children in my vicinity have been sexually exploited, trafficked. We know online. It just isn't going to stop online, because as long as our government is fighting to put AI at the forefront, the big unknown, except we know there's a lot of horror, but we also know it could be used for such great good. So I keep asking about that balance. I keep asking the schools. It was put out by the administration, K through 12, we're going to have AI in the classrooms. It's going to be great. We're going to have competitions in the spring, and you can win. I think you can win money or something. I don't go for that in classrooms and that kind. I keep asking teachers. I keep asking parents and students, oh, what do you know about this AI program? Do you have any insight? Did your school receive anything? Nobody knows anything, okay? But what we do know is I saw, and a lot of people saw, Mark Zuckerberg and Sam Altman and Bill Gates sitting at the dinner table with the president and the first lady. Why? So I'm telling you this because we, again, have to do the work. You have to keep yourself safe. You have to keep your children. You've got to talk to your kids. We just came through the holidays. I always talk about number one, ask devices. Kids want new phones. They want iPads. They want gift cards for Roblox and Minecraft. And that's you're handing your child to the predators. I don't care if you don't like this talk. This is the truth. So it's not that you have parental autonomy, or your grandparents or your family members, and you bought this for the holidays, then you have a duty to talk to that child. Age appropriate. Bad people on there. Come to me if something's going on. Because the predators now, gaming, they get all the kids to slip into direct messages, the DMs. They're acting like they're other kids, and they're 40, 50, 60-year-old men or women, right? And the kids are falling for it. So we have to, despite this education and raising awareness, we have to keep talking about it over and over and brainwash our kids. You have to know who's on there. You can't have strange people on there. To be very careful. Talk to your kids. Limit their time. I mean, you bought those devices, right? You pay for the internet, routers, all that jazz. So actually, they're a family device. I learned this from our great colleague, Chris McKenna. Protect Young Eyes. I advise all of you to utilize protectyoungeyes.com. Chris puts out little nuggets of every platform, every app that's coming out, every this, that, directions for safety on the iPhone. It's great. It's all free. Why wouldn't you utilize it? And he brought this to my attention a couple of years back. It's not the kids, it's not their phone and our phone and their computer, and it's our devices. Let's have a family, digital partnership. We got to think like this. We have to. We cannot allow. Everything's just escalating. The trafficking, the exploitation. So many stories, don't you see them, of kids and abuse? And I go through these stories a lot, or especially teen girls, although I read 2 today about teen boys disappearing, right? And I say to myself, every time I see a headline, I bet you by the time I get through the article or the notice or the press release, it will say somewhere they met somebody online. And I'm almost 100% always right. And when they don't know, I think they just don't put anything. But most kids are meeting these people online and they're going out to meet them. We know over, again, because the studies are a little behind, but it was 1 in 4, last count, kids are met with sexual dialogue and images, 9 to 17. One study said 8 to 18, so we'll say 9 to 17. 1 in 4 were met with this. I venture to say it's higher. I mean, we work with kids, we work with organizations, we hear everything. Every hand goes up in a classroom when you ask, who's been sent an inappropriate message? Everyone. When you're talking to groups of girls, middle school girls, right? So middle school is like 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, right? And you say, have you ever been sent? Every hand goes up. No hand is ever down. So our kids are being deluged, inundated with this horrible exploitation. And it's allowed to go on. And Mark Zuckerberg and all of them are allowed to sit at the dinner table. And they have the nerve that Mark Zuckerberg, he's on record, Bill Gates, well, we never allowed or allow, if the kids are younger, our kids on social media. No. But it's good enough for our kids. We have work to do. I'm very hopeful. You have the Warriors. Remember, linswarriors.org. It's a new year. It's a new beginning. I thank all of you for joining. I want you to share once, this information. It's basically new year, new beginning. We're going to watch. We got to get into a lot of things going on. It's okay. What are you going to do? You're going to get into those schools if you have a child. Ask them, what are they doing about AI? What is the curriculum? I know New Jersey, I don't know if anybody's from New Jersey here, but with your governor, Mikey Sherrill, she now is implementing, mandating, doing something. People are up in arms. The uptick in homeschooling since COVID, which I really love the idea now. When I was a kid, and even 20 years ago, homeschooling was kind of considered like icky, weird. I think homeschooling is terrific. Now, the idea is, can you do it? Most people have to work. Right? They can't. But here in New York, I know a teacher, and she's they do this pod. It's called pod homeschooling. So where a couple of them qualified parents, they take turns going to the apartments, and they have different groups. It could be like 4th, 5th, 6th grade. It'll be 2 days at somebody's apartment, 2 days at somebody else's. They figure the schedules out. Could be 4 days a week. They accomplish everything. They spend other time with the arts because we're warriors, big believers. We love music. We love art. And we have the studies that show it expands the brains, right, for science and math and all that. And then they spend time in these pod homeschooling groups going to the museums. I mean, I know we're in New York, but, going to Central Park to have a little free run, all kinds of stuff like that. So wherever you are, you can do dance, you can do sports. But now Mikey Sherrill is stepping in to say, I'm just saying this. She didn't actually say this. Oh, this is getting out of hand. We're losing a lot of money with, homeschooling. And we're going to come down on these parents because, remember, they want to, how do you affect change in a country? You go after the kids, the young minds, right? At least I think. That's it. And she wants all children being homeschooled. She wants to have people go into your home, see how you live, see what you're teaching them, see. Now, there are programs and you have to meet certain criteria and credentials and all of this, but how dare? And I said, who are these people going into your home? What is that comprised of? Will they go on your Facebook and they saw a posting, or you support somebody in Congress or a president that they don't like, so they go into your home then and say, nah, you're not qualified. Your kid has to go back to public school, because it's horrific. So I know there are a lot of good people in New Jersey we work with. They're fighting on this, especially tomorrow. Everybody's back in full swing. So be aware of what's happening. Be a warrior in your community. Talk to your neighbors. Protect yourselves. Talk to the kids open and honestly about the devices. Get away from the devices. Even one day, I've never done this. It was about a week ago. I left the house and I forgot my phone. Now, there was a momentary little panic when I was out in the street, and I'm like, well, I'm going to be late for my meeting. I don't want to go back and get it. A feeling, very strange feeling, right? But then about an hour later, I'm like, there's nothing that urgent that can't wait till I get home to get the phone again, right? And it was all of a sudden this sense of like freedom came over me. And we have that same thing. So I'm even putting down the device. Getting away from it a little bit. I don't care if it's an hour a day, 30 minutes a day, but for our children and their developing brains, we must make the effort and actually do it of off the devices. Not totally off the devices, whether it's 30 minutes, an hour, that is up to you as the parent. So we have a lot of food for thought here. We have a lot going on. It is very hopeful. It is very hopeful that we are going to work on AI. We will not accept it, the Warriors. This will dominate our children's lives and your lives. We're going to fight for this legislation and hold big tech. They have to be held accountable. They have gotten away for decades now with no regulation, no anything, and they must be held accountable in some way, shape, form, because it can't be up to parents and kids to deal with all of this. If they're making money from everybody, they better have safety councils. Now, I know they talk about it. They say they're doing everything in their power. But right now, they're doing nothing because they hide behind Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. Now, go back and look at my interview with attorney Danny Pinter from the National Center on Sexual Exploitation. We did it right before Christmas. I was so happy she actually joined me because I know everybody's busy right before Christmas. A day before Christmas, 2 days before Christmas. And here's the good news. There is a Sunset Section 230 Act that's been announced, which means if we can get rid of this piece of legislation from 1996, 30 years ago, if we can kick it to the curb, it's called sunset. I say kick it to the curb. This would open up to hold big tech accountable for harms to children. What does that mean? You see harmful content, you remove it right away, or you remove that person who's putting it there. Or, the big tech platforms will suffer fines, right, for allowing this content. Because we've had so many minors. And big tech has gotten back to them. We have lawsuits starting this month and next month. Groundbreaking lawsuits holding platforms. So that's going to be, I'll keep you in the loop about that one. This is going to be, actually, I'll tell you again, go back and look at the interview right here on Lynn's Warriors with attorney Laura Marquez Garrett. And she'll be heading up from the Social Media Victims Law Center. 7 lawsuits, I believe it is. Kids, they were minors at the time. Where big tech got back eventually and said, oh, these nude images don't affect our community standards. We're going to leave them up. Of minors, and their parents are fighting. So yes, sunsetting Section 230, I have always said, every meeting I go to, I will say to somebody, unless we do something with that Section 230, I don't see. And so it's finally, so we're chipping away and it's happening. So again, don't be discouraged. A lot of good platforms. I want to thank everybody for making this our most tremendous holiday season, where we do a lot of our work behind the scenes, going into communities with goods and services and meals for people, outstanding donations, support, food, clothes, toys for kids, really a banner year. And if you're a follower of Lynn's Warriors, and I think make sure you're subscribed, by the way, because people listen and then I look at the analytics and it's like 80% who listen to me don't subscribe. I mean, it's free. Could just help a girl out and hit the subscribe button. But going into these communities and dealing with real people, real Americans who are so thankful for a bag of food. And shout out always to Goya Foods, who provides the Warriors with whatever we ask for. They are the most generous, incredible people. And I will always give them a shout out, because when I put the call out, they answer that call. And terrific. So this is what matters. We had a banner holiday season with all of the toys coming in. I think maybe 1 or 2 of you here You know who you are, the warriors. We don't put lots of pictures online and things like, it's private. We have survivors we do artwork with and music, and that's private stuff. We're not plastering pictures to make ourselves look great all over. Our communities in need, eating a meal. We're not putting those pictures, we put some pictures, some of our warriors and throughout the communities, the women that help me, a couple of men too. Those are true warriors. You'll see some pictures of them. We're all standing together and things, but not of the kids, not of victims. And we're just so happy that we're able to talk to you. And let's come together. Let's honor our warriors. Hashtag with everybody. Community creates change. If everybody can and must do something, I always say that. If you share this video, right? If you share our website, lenswarriors.org. If you share something I put on X or Facebook, because it's about just getting that information out there. And I'll work hard on the other end to get them to look at trafficking in this new light, because everything around trafficking is new, right? So I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. I want you to really each and every day, live your lives to the fullest, breathe. It's all going to be okay. We have to think of it like that, or else we get paralyzed, right? Because there are a lot of things that are very upsetting. But I want to thank Fred for always providing memberships for people. Fred, it's so generous because, again, like I say, that gets people going. It helps us, obviously, tremendously. Come on, everybody. You can be a member too, if you're not already, but it gets the information out there. And so I'll be doing traveling the middle of this week across the country and then straight back into Washington. And we have a lot of good people working on a lot of good things. And you out there are true warriors for joining me this evening. So go, or maybe it's daytime where you are. I don't know where everybody is. But you know what? Let's all come together. Let's take care of our kids. And let us all be warriors. Let's talk again soon. Thank you.